Guys, right, on this video we're going to cover panel line washers and washers in general. Right, I use two types of washers. I've got pastel washers, which we'll go into in more detail, and an oil washer. Basically oil and white spirit all mixed up, and as you can see it's just putting a little jam jar that we get from Tesco's or Costa or wherever when we have toast. Get some jam. My wife puts them in a bag and we fetch them home and we reuse them. Okay, so pastel washers, these two. All these are basically these pastels. Okay, I picked them up from, I think it was the Hobbycraft, and I got all these colours in it. The main ones I use are black and white, but you can get, there is a grey one that I've used in the past and what have you. And all it is you get your brown pastel and just scrape it into the jar as much as you need. Add some water and there's some washing up liquid in there as well to help with surface tension. Give it a good shake, and there we have our wash. So for a panel line wash, obviously I've coated this because I'm using pastel in a gloss enamel gloss coat just before I do this, just to get a bit more surface tension, and it should just, he says, should just go into all the nooks and crannies. Now on this model the lines were actually quite fine. Some you'll have deeper lines and it should just move about a lot quicker. So I'm just putting some on and dragging it into all the panel lines. And it's all coated. So I'm using brown because obviously it's a brown aircraft. I don't want it too stark. And remember what I said on my last video when I was covering this? It might not have got so filthy, it would have had time to wash it because, you know, it wasn't being used as much apart from just normal patrols. So if you're not happy once you take this off, you can always reapply it as many times as you like, really. It all depends how well it takes and how well it comes if you take too much off when you take it off. And also there is the other way of doing it as well, which I'll show you in a minute. This bit down there. Right, the other way is just getting loads on a brush and just slathering it on. So yeah, I'll have a look, see how this looks, and then if it needs to go darker, I can go darker. It's easier to go darker than it is to go lighter, so bear that in mind. And also you can get washers to do this if you're so inclined, but when money's tight or you've run out or what have you, this will work quite well. So let's just. Don't worry about the bubbles. It's just the washing up liquid. Right, so that's, I think that's a total. Let's have a look. More down this side. Let's see. Just push it about where you want it. Slamming it on. And that's the top. Then we'll move on to the other side. And then all we've got to do is just wait for it to dry. So I'll carry on with this and I'll come back to you once it's dry. Again, right, it's all dry. As you can probably see, and it looks a right mess. So now comes to taking it off. First off, let's just get some kitchen paper. All you gotta do is just wet it slightly and it should just wipe off nice and gently. See, wiping off all the excess, and hopefully, fingers crossed, should be just left with some in the panel lines. Probably going to have to go over this again in places, but what I'll do, once I've shown you this bit, I will go off, do that, and then I will put some stills on again at the end of the thing. Right. Now, you're not going to really be able to see it, but that's all wash off that wing. Near enough anyway, so a bit more. Tail. And that's worked out reasonably well. And always remember to go in the direction of the airflow. Alright, I know people who do tanks do this and they go down because obviously you've got rain and what have you that comes down. With the aircraft, because it flies obviously, you've got to direction of the airflow. A bit more. You don't need much. Here it are. Any hard to reach places, like just round these, just a cotton bud or a Q-tip, as the Americans call them, and you just wipe it off. And it should give it a nice subtle panel lining effect. You don't want to press too hard because you'll end up taking it out of the panel lines, which is what you don't want. A little bit of tissue paper. And you don't, like I say, you don't want it too wet because then you'll end up taking too much off. But you can do this effect ever so gently. You can, on more battered aircraft, you don't have to do it as much. You'll get a nice streaking effect. See that wingtip there? No, you can actually. On the wingtip there, it should just show some streaking effect, hopefully. So, Q-tip again, just around this bit. Just rub these bits out. You will get awkward places where you can't reach, so and the bit, like I said, the beauty of this wash is you can take it all off if you so wish. And it's not very harmful. Just make sure you have a gloss coat, nice shiny surface to work on. If you use a matte or a satin, it doesn't work as well. I think after this, actually I might just leave it at this. Like I was saying before, it won't be absolutely filthy. Right, so we're nearly there now. Like I said, there is products you can get for this. The Ultimate one, they do dark dirt and concrete, so you can do different colours depending on what you want it for, and depending which theatre they were used in. Because, like I said, out in the desert or in the Far East, the Pacific Warfare, they won't have much time to actually clean and maintain a lot of the aircraft. So, right, just into the tail. And the other wing, and then we're finished. So another bit of kitchen paper just for the wing. So you can take as much as you want. Now, I could leave that like that, and that is fairly dirty, the mud and what have you, but I want to take a little bit more off this. Now if this aircraft was a Hurricane, and it flew a Hurricane Mark 1 and it flew in France 1940, I would have left it looking rather mucky. Because the only thing that probably would have cleaned it would have been the rain. So there would have been streaks and all sorts. Now, I did put some on the windows, so just make sure we get the windows. Just have a quick look round, make sure there's none where you don't want any. Actually, I think I will leave it at that. I will not bother with any more, because I wanted it. I didn't want every single panel line absolutely caked in it. I just wanted it to show general rubbish that might have gone in there and what have you. So I think that is just about, I'm happy with that. And what it's really picked up, if I can get it to show you, is like where all the nuts and bolts are, all the rivets, details in the landing gear and what have you. Okay. And I think all this needs now is a blast of matte varnish. Satin would be good, but I don't have any at the minute. and then it's on with the stainings for the exhaust. I'm debating whether to do the guns because I think they would have done target practice. So like I said the other day, they only shot down one Japanese aircraft. I think it was the squadron leader that did it. So obviously the guns weren't used that often. But we'll see. Let's have a look at that. I'm happy with that, if I'm honest. A few bits of mist. By no means perfect, but obviously it depends on how thick you put your paint on, how fine your panel lines are to start with, how many coats of gloss and what have you put on it, is to how fine you can actually get it. So now this is going to get assembled and what have you, ready for a coat of matte varnish, and then the powders, which I'll use exactly the same way with these pastels, but instead of being wet, they'll be dry. So I'll put them on dry, and that way I'll create some smoke from the exhaust. So that's it for now. I'll see you later. Ta-ra! Back again. Right, so I've shot it with some what's the word? Matte varnish, as you can see. So now we're just going to have a look at doing some engine stains. So basically, got my pastels again, like I showed you on the last video, and all I want to do, I just want to scrape some off. You really don't need a lot because you're not using that much, so just get some black, some white, and I've got some grey here. Then have a weird brush, just wipe my fingers so I don't get it everywhere. Get a brush or Q-tip or whatever, cotton bud, and just get some grey. And all you need to do is just dab it around, and then just smudge it in. Get a brush as well. Oh, it's a bit wet, but never mind, it should work. I did have another one somewhere. Excuse me a minute, fellas. Yeah, let's try this. Sometimes a brush works a bit better, it gets you that's better. So basically we're just running along. I've just broke that. And prodding it round the exhaust nozzles. Just letting it fall wherever it may fall. Add a bit of black to it. Not too much, you don't want too much on you. And just basically slowly build it up. Back. Remember, this needs to be done over a matte varnish because it will not stick to a gloss varnish. It'll just slide straight off. Right, just a little bit of white. Just lighten up some of those areas. I don't know if you can just see the staining I'm going for. So one of my aerials has just broke off, so I'm going to have to replace that in a minute. A bit more grey. Basically you're just building it up until you're happy with your finish. Smudging it in all the time. Now I'm going to seal this in again with another coat of matte varnish. But what you can do if you don't have a airbrush, because if you try and brush this on now it's not going to stick. If you don't have an airbrush, what I used to do was just get a can of hairspray and just put it straight on. And just spray it straight on where you wanted it. Where you want it. And that's basically it. So what I'll do now, I will finish it off and you will not see this again until the final reveal. So that's it for now, and I'll see you on my next video. Well, you probably won't see me because it'll be final reveal, but you'll see me on my 113 video. Alright, so I'll see you later. Ciao guys.